Hello Ice and Fire Nerds, this is Chris, and we're going to continue our Game of Thrones Foreshadowing series, and we're going to wrap up Season 1, Episode 1. Basically, we're trying to go through the entire series to find out what they were telling us right in front of our face before we knew it was going to happen. Alright, so if you pick up where we left off in part 3, we were talking about the scene where Robert finally arrived in Winterfell. He gets off his horse and he greets Ned and the family. So in the very next scene, we see Robert and Ned head down to the crypts of Winterfell to pay their respects.
Did you have to bury her in a place like this? In my dreams, I kill him every night.
So this scene here doesn't necessarily foreshadow a particular scene that we can show as kind of a payoff scene. However, it does foreshadow how important this statue is going to be. We're wondering who this lady is, who this woman was. All we know from this scene here is that Robert was somehow in love with her, and it was Ned's sister. So basically, this is one of our first hints at R plus L equals J, along with the other ones I mentioned in parts 1, 2, and 3 about Jon. So essentially, this points out there's something bigger going on here, some of the history that led up to the beginning of our story, and that eventually we'd find out who the hell this lady was and how important she was to the story. But we do have a parallel scene here in Season 5 when they started really picking up on the hints about how good Rhaegar was as a person, and they really started hinting strongly on Rhaegar and Lyanna's actual relationship as opposed to a kidnapping. And right after this, we're introduced to the Targaryens. We see Dany and Viserys over in Illyrio's place in Pentos, but here's the first scene of foreshadowing that shows just how important she'll become.
It's too hot, my lady.
And right off the bat, they're establishing pretty quickly that Dany's the important one here, not necessarily Viserys, and he's kind of an asshole. And of course, this scene where she gets in the scalding hot bath shows us immediately that she's going to be able to do this. As well as this scene. So yeah, right from the get-go, they were telling us she's pretty damn special in this story. And next we go to a scene between Catelyn and Sansa as they're back in Winterfell, and she's trying to talk to her mother to talk Ned into saying yes to becoming Hand of the King, so she can go marry her sweet prince Joffrey.
And I'd be queen someday. Please make father say yes. Sansa. Please, please. It's the only thing I ever wanted.
Now this particular line here doesn't necessarily have a single payoff as far as the scene goes, but it's getting pretty damn close. Jon is the king in the north, but as we know from Season 7, he'll be heading south, and Sansa will essentially be the ruler of Winterfell, the ruler in the north while Jon's gone, and we may see a bigger payoff scene for Sansa later.
You, my love, are the future of House Stark. Who should the north rally behind? The true-born daughter of Ned and Catelyn Stark, born here at Winterfell, or a motherless bastard born in the south?
And she may actually get what she wanted. And then we first meet Tyrion, and Jaime walks in as he's starting his little feast.
Now the Starks are feasting us at sundown. Don't leave me alone with these people.
Well, Jaime, you ended up spending some time with the Starks alone, after all.
By the time they knew what was happening, it had already happened.
You don't understand what you'd be giving up. None of us will ever father sons.
I don't care about that.
Right. If you know what it meant.
If you only knew, Jon, if you only knew. And then in the following scene, we have Jaime and Ned coming across each other in the dinner hall.
I don't fight in tournaments. That's when I fight a man for real. I don't have to know what I can do.
Well said.
Now obviously this tells us that Jaime and Ned did have some kind of past, something they didn't like about each other, and if you hadn't read the books, basically what that is Jaime was never respected by Ned after he killed Mad King Aerys, Dany, and Viserys' father, and then Jaime sat down on the throne after he killed him, and that's when Ned walked in when he finally got to King's Landing after the sack, and he thought that Jaime might have wanted power for himself, so he never respected Jaime for killing the Mad King, but Jaime never bothered to tell him why he did it. But of course they are talking about their tournament here and talking about fighting, and this leads to Next, we have quite a few scenes with Dany, Viserys, and Illyrio, and it's pretty damn clear here after going back and seeing this again that Illyrio was full of shit. He was basically lying to Viserys, saying, you know, they drink secret toast to your health and all that kind of stuff. But in combination with all these scenes where he was telling Viserys what he wanted to hear, and then the wedding scene where he presents Daenerys with dragon eggs, it's pretty damn clear here what he actually wanted. So there's no big payoff scene here as far as some of these go, other than the fact that we're leading towards Dany as the true Targaryen here versus Viserys. But the point being here that in episode 1, it was clear that Viserys was not really the one here that was going to be king. Also, speaking of the wedding between Khal Drogo and Dany,
when do I meet with the Khal? We need to begin planning the invasion.
Khal Drogo has promised you a crown. You shall have it.
When?
So, Khal Drogo promised you a crown, Viserys, and you damn sure got one right here.
A crown for a king.
So they told us right in the first episode that he would receive a crown, and damn did he receive a crown. And it's still one of my all-time favorite death scenes in Game of Thrones. And last but not least, at least on my list of visual things we can see for payoffs, we have this scene with Dany. Now, she's sitting here staring across the narrow sea. Obviously, she's dreaming of going home. She's thinking about things she had just told Viserys earlier. But of course, the huge payoff for this scene came in Season 6, Episode 10, The Winds of Winter. So yeah, it took the entirety of 6 seasons for that particular scene to be paid off when she's finally coming across the narrow sea heading home to Westeros. Anyway guys, that'll wrap it up for Season 1, Episode 1, Winter is Coming. So please let me know what you think in the comments below. I know there's quite a few things I missed, and there's quite a few things I left out because we couldn't really pay those off visually. This was basically a setup episode where we got introduced to a lot of characters, just some general subplots and threads that would come up in later episodes. For example, you could say that when Cersei was staring down Robert in the feast hall at Winterfell sitting beside Catelyn, when he was out there disrespecting her in front of the whole damn party, that led to Robert's death, and that was certainly telling us there was going to be some conflict later, but it just didn't tell us how that was going to happen as far as her little wine trick goes. Although he was drinking at the time, so maybe she was thinking about that plan all the way back in episode 1. Anyway guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. As usual, thank you for all the support, especially you guys on Patreon. And as always, a quick shout out to my executive Patreon smokescreen producers, Hoss Griffin and VolGuy10. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you all so much. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. Be sure to hit that little bell notification button so you're not missing anything. And if you were subscribed to Smokescreen, make sure you still are, because there is a YouTube glitch going on. Anyway guys, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.